Yeah, I think ultimately very, very happy with the character that the players have shown over the past 2 weeks. This was never going to be an easy game. It was always going to be difficult. And we would need to suffer, and we had moments in the game where we had to suffer. And, the players had to get through that suffering. And, I explained the importance of a clean sheet tonight, first and foremost. And opportunities will come for you to have your moments. And I thought we started really well. We had two great chances within the first 2-3 minutes of the game. But yeah, the game itself, Pirates, very, very good team, a lot of rotation through the midfield, Mafokeng 1v1s, Polis 1v1s. And I think the boys, worked extremely hard this evening to get the result over the line. Not easy. Certain areas of our game, I thought we weren't that great, especially our composure. We managed to press and win a number of balls, but we were giving it away very, very cheaply. We needed to show a little bit more composure, especially in the final third. And, so at half-time I spoke about that. Throw-ins, they had 4 or 5 throw-ins in the first half, too easy to receive. Give Mbule time and space, he can hurt you because of his ability. He had the one strike where Ronaldo had to make the save. So at half-time, try to fix 1 or 2 things. And we knew that an opportunity would come that we could benefit from it. And it did come from a set play. And, just happy for the boys because of their effort. They had to work extremely hard this evening. And they put in the effort. But, yeah, for me, we got a game in 3 days' time. That if you don't win that one, then this result means nothing. So it's about building on that. Don't become complacent. And obviously, consistency in the performances is what is key.
We're now open for questions from the floor. As per norm, please, by show of hands, identify yourself as well as the media company you represent prior to asking your question. Are there any questions from the floor?
Good evening, Coach. Congratulations on the result. Zako from ENC. Maybe if you could please just talk to us about the progression of Nullifying Thokolo. I think just a few weeks ago, he will be playing the playoffs and he's man of the match tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's 3 weeks ago he was playing for Casric in the playoffs. And obviously, I watched the 2 games against Cape Town City and I could see his ability defensively. I wasn't entirely sure in terms of his ability on the ball because they play a different brand of football to what we want. But, he joined us. He was a young player. The CEO spoke to me about him. And I was happy to sign him. But in the beginning, he was supposed to be a progression player, what we call a progression player. But I think within the first week of training, I saw him as a starter because he just shows a lot of maturity for his young age. Very, very comfortable on the ball. Does all the right things. Yeah, he made 1 or 2 mistakes this evening, but that's expected, And he's raised his level, which I'm really, really happy for him. I think he has a bright future.
Coach, Coach, you mentioned that the past 2 weeks your team has performed in a way that you have liked to see. You're seeing a lot of good momentum from your team. Is this the way that you want them to play, and have they reached that potential that you can say that perhaps it's going to be like a good season for you guys?
Yeah, like I said, we didn't show the composure. We had moments in the game where we controlled the game. We had a lot of possession of the ball. But we needed to show a little bit more composure, especially in that final third. On the transitions, we were looking to try and go with speed and intensity. And then straight pass, poor cross. Those are the punishing moments, especially on the transition. And had we have been a lot better there, I think, in the first half, we possibly could have scored a couple more, in my view. So that's still work in progress. I understand to a degree the pressure that the players obviously are feeling in those moments when you come to a big club like Orlando Pirates, to this stadium with a big fan base, that in those pressure moments, the composure is not there. But that's something the players need to get over.
In terms of belief for the squad, I don't think there's many harder grounds to come and win in the PSL. So in terms of belief going forward for the season and your ambitions, how important is this league?
Yeah, I think very, very important for us to start the league with a win. Now, yes, we've done well to come back in the game against Galaxy, but truth be told, Galaxy, I think they had a good 6 or 7 players who weren't registered. I think the team we're going to face on Wednesday is going to be a very different team to the one that we played in the MTN 8. And this game today was really going to be a test to see where we are. The character the guy showed in the MTN 8 game, that came out again tonight. So we're creating a very well-disciplined, cultured team. Other than the tactical element, I think, you know, the players, the work ethic, both at training and matches, they have to match. So what we do in training, are we transferring it to the game? That's the key factor for me, and I think, you know, I'm seeing that, which is a positive for me.
Coach, having senior players within your squad who are former Orlando Pirates players, yourself being a former Orlando Pirates coach, just take us through the benefits of that and how positive it impacts on the change room situation in terms of making sure that your players, your younger ones, the new ones, have got someone to look up to just next to them.
I think it actually, I don't mean to be nasty, but I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that we were ex-Pirates players or coaches. It's your desire and your passion, and I see it in Linda. Linda works harder than any other player at his age at training, same as Monare. So what you see in training, he transfers to the game, and I think at training that's where it's the most important for the younger players to learn my work ethic, my level of professionalism, and then everybody needs to feed off that, you know. But I think that comes from within. I don't think it comes from the fact that we were at Pirates. I had it before I joined Pirates, and I think Linda and Monare also had it before they joined Pirates.
Coach Mbule from 𝗖𝗍𝗄𝗀, congratulations on the victory. You mentioned earlier how you managed to neutralize, especially Mbule and Nduli, was I think last week. You were very much more effective when Paris was playing on the inside, and one of the players was key that was Mkhize. I'm sure you are delighted to also see him contributing with a goal. Was maybe if there was one blemish, he was not making those late runs in the box in the previous seasons. I'm sure you'd love to see more of him doing that.
I would, but understandable today because both him and Monare had very defensive midfield positions that they needed to fill. We had moments in the first half where we actually allowed Mbule too much space. The idea was to press and be aggressive in our press, and at times we were arriving late, which allowed them to get out. And Mbule, you give him a little bit of time, he can hurt you. Maswangani, another one who floats in between the lines, and he shifts from left to right. So the work rate that they had to put in, and I think Mkhize's work rate today was massive, especially defensively, because of the job that he needed to do. You know, so I didn't score that many goals myself, box-to-box midfielder. I think most goals I scored in the season was 5. They'll come. Opportunities will come, maybe from set plays or something like that, but open play, he understands his role. His key role is to be more defensive And also the brand of football we play here in South Africa, slightly different to when you watch European teams. Yeah, we like to cheat a lot. Our wingers don't track, our 10s and our 9s don't really help us defensively. So the counter-attack becomes a major, major threat when you don't punish teams. And like I said, today we had those composure moments that we needed to punish because they're cheating. And now a guy like Mkhize has to put in triple the work because the counter-attack can be a major threat.
We'll take the final two questions. You had your hand up and still.
Good evening, Coach. 𝗁𝗶𝗀𝗀 from Bolton. Coach, when you look at last week's game and tonight's game, what are the improvements that you're happy about and also some of the shortfalls that you feel that you need to work on?
I actually think we played a lot better today on the ball. I thought we were much better today, although tactically we played a different system to the system that we played against 𝗁𝗁𝗀𝗀𝗀. We picked up a lot more second balls. The game against 𝗁𝗁𝗀𝗀𝗀, we didn't win a lot of second balls. Tonight we picked up a lot of the second balls. So obviously what we've done and what we've tried to fix after the post-match in training has paid off, you know. And you know, I try and paint little pictures for players to understand in certain times of the game what situations may or may not occur and how you quickly adapt and adjust to those situations. You know, we knew Apollos likes to play inside, he wants to cut inside. Maswangani floats everywhere. Mbule will look to start in the first line as a 6 and then come into an 8 position. Mofokeng will either be wide or will drift inside. So there was a lot of things that we needed to work on in training to be able to manage them. Did we do it perfectly? No, because they had their chances, you know. But so it means that there's still a lot to fix, especially when I changed the formation towards the end. You know, there were a number of things there that I wasn't happy with our second line of defense. But again, I can't really blame the players because I didn't really work on it in training. It was a plan that I came with tonight. But now it tells me as a coach, you know, work on it in training so that players have a better understanding what happens when you go to a back five and what the responsibilities and the roles are.